welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be basically discussing my trading day today. Well, theoretically last night, but I got taken out of the position in the early mornings, and I ended up making a $62 or $63,000 profit going long on the NASDAQ or NAS 100. Since I do trade indices, I don't trade futures and I don't trade options. I trade indices, so the execution and the platform is a little bit different. I actually trade on MetaTrader. I don't know if I'm going to be making a change to futures later on, but as of right now, I'm currently trading indices, and today I had a $62,000 trading day trading the NASDAQ, and I actually ended up paying myself a total of $50,000 just because I had been doing very well throughout the entire week, not just on my main portfolio, but also on this portfolio and a swing trading portfolio that I have. On my swing trading portfolio, I made roughly around $40,000 this week, a little bit shy, pretty much $38,000 on the week. And one thing I've been focusing on over the last few weeks in my trading is just trying to be as selective as I possibly can and really waiting for good opportunity in the market. The markets had recently been in a very big range where price action just broke out of the range, and now we're starting to see some very, very big moves to the upside. I'm going to completely break down this entire trade, go through the emotions that I went through when the position was actually closed out, because this was a position that I actually took overnight, and my take profit was hit by the time I woke up in the morning, and price action absolutely went crazy after that, and why I decided not to continue to trade after I did end up hitting take profit. But other than that, I hope you guys do find this video beneficial and do find value inside of this video. Let's get right into it. All right, everybody. So before this video does start, one thing that I actually wanted to let you guys know was I did a completely free crash course on my foundation on how I trade indices almost on a day-to-day basis. So if you guys want to get access to this crash course, and again, it's completely free, and again, it covers basically the foundation of how I trade indices on a day-to-day basis, and make sure you guys head out to the link in the description where you can find more information on how to get access to the crash course. And again, guys, I want to emphasize it is completely free. Just wanted to get that out of the way before I actually start the breakdown. Now, as you guys could see over here, I am on the Hero FX MetaTrader 5 platform where you guys can see my entry and my exit here. As you guys can see, I did have a hard take profit at the highs over here, and here is my entry. Now, one thing along with that being said, as you guys can see, this is not a screenshot, and you guys can see the $62,000 profit with the $50,000 withdrawal. For all of you skeptics out there, you cannot withdraw from a demo account with simulated money. This is obviously live funds, and I just wanted to get that out of the way. And one thing I also want to discuss is for those of you guys who have been trading for quite some time, and obviously you may not see results such as my results, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind, it didn't just take me a day to make $60,000. It took me 6 years of going through all of these swings that you experience in trading emotionally, that is, where you experience extreme highs and you experience extreme lows, from consistently losing money to going through the battle of trying to recuperate that money to then even losing more money because I'm trying to recuperate that money, so on and so forth. I know you guys know, for those of you guys who may be a little bit more experienced in the markets and maybe you haven't reached that consistent profitability, you guys can completely relate and know exactly what I'm talking about. You have those really big trading days where you may make a ton of money, then you have those big losing days. I went through these same exact swings as you guys are. And again, I want you guys to keep in mind, I went through a very similar journey as probably some of you have in terms of your trading. Now, luckily nowadays, there are funded companies that allow you to trade larger capital than what I was trading with at the time. But again, the highs and the lows that you experience as a newer trader, a lot of us can actually relate. So it took me 6 years to get to the point where I'm at today, a very blessed point that I can only thank myself for, continuing to push myself, to continue to seek myself and how I can continue to improve, and thanking God along the way for giving me the strength to actually continue with seeking out consistent profitability in this trading niche. That's what I wanted you guys to keep in mind. It took me 6 years of working every single day, non-stop, showing up to the markets and getting that chart time in. And I'm telling you guys, chart time, and experience is what will get you to where you want to be. You can never give up. You need to work every single day, every single week, every single month, and not quit. Don't give up on yourself. And I'm telling you guys could get to the point where you want to be as long as you're putting in the right type of work. Don't just start trading, pick it up, and after a few weeks of maybe not finding success, just drop it and then come back a few months later and think, you're just perfect where you left off. That's not the case. You need to work every single day. Every single day, every single week, every single month, and you have to put in the right type of work. You need to be journaling, you need to be looking at your trades, you need to be looking at your statistics, more importantly, how you can improve. Why are you taking the losses that you're taking? Are they normal losses? Are they bad losses in the markets? There's a big difference between taking a normal loss, which is a planned loss, and then taking a loss that is obviously a bad loss in the markets. Now, going straight into the breakdown, of course. So as you guys could see, again, here's my entry, here's my exit. I got out near the highs. I'm gonna go over to TradingView just for drawing purposes, right? So one thing that you guys will learn if you guys do take the free crash course is that I like to trade from key level to key level, and I really try and emphasize like my big positions at these key levels, which is why I had a $60,000 day. A lot recently, especially when newborn, I've been really lowering my position size, just trying to get my mind right and trying to focus on the consistency versus the amount of money that I make. So like my average winning day right now is probably anywhere between $7,500 to $20,000. So this is definitely a big trading day. But like I said, you guys need to understand in trading where to put in those big positions and where to take risk off of the table, where to put risk on, where to take a risk off. So one thing, again, like you guys will learn in the crash course, is that in between my major key levels is pretty much either a no trade zone if there's no like intraday area, or it's an area where I'm going to put less risk into the markets. So when price action did end up breaking above this key level over here, as you guys could see, 13,886. Right, that is the first clue that we could potentially see buyers step back into the markets. We had a nice strong close here on the 4-hour time frame. Along with that, notice this 4-hour candlestick has a huge wick to the downside. That is a big clue for me for price action to again continue to go up. That is showing us that there is a significant probability for price action to continue to trade higher. Now notice I said probability. Just because the probability is in your favor doesn't mean that it will always play out. Again, if you have a 70% win rate, 30% of the time you're going to be losing. So when sellers tried to step into the markets at this key level, we obviously saw buyers kind of step back into the markets, and price action ended up closing back above this resistance range. You want to think about price action as a big tug of war. What does this tug of war battle tell us? At some point in time, sellers were completely in control. There was a lot of selling pressure in the markets. There was a lot of selling volume in the markets. But by the time this candlestick actually closed, it completely beat the sellers, went higher, and then came back and closed bullish. That tells us that sellers are losing steam. So with this price action candlestick here, that is a big clue for me that price action is going to continue higher. At that point in time is when I jumped down onto the lower time frames and marked off this zone. If we look at the liquidity in this area, this is the area that I want to really emphasize and put all of my attention to. What we have is rejection, 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 and then we have a rejection in the opposite direction. We have all of this resistance now start to hold as support. So that is the first clue that, hey, we could look for a potential bounce off of this area. And then I asked myself, well, if price action does bounce off of this area, what has the highest probability of getting hit? Where could we see price action come up to? And to me, that was this high over here that we saw price action previously print before the big rejection and retest to the downside, which is going to be 13,991. Where essentially the reason for entry, because now that I have my trade planned out, all I need to wait for is my entry. I know that price action bounced here. Now, with price action trading up here, obviously, I want to get the best discount possible, and I want to get in as close to my area, my level that I'm trading off of as possible, which the area I was kind of paying attention to was this 13,900 range. So all I did was simply wait for a retest. I already had that if price action come back, retest, reject this area, then I'll look for price to bounce and come back up into the highs. That is already planned. That is what I'm going to be waiting for. All I have to do is wait to execute on that. Price action ended up coming all the way back down, rejecting and bouncing off of this area again. But at this point in time, it's like, okay, you know what? Like, I want to wait for a retest. You know, we're not in session, obviously. And I want to wait for price action to actually pull back into this area and get a little bit of a better discount on the position. I want to wait for, obviously, more confirmation. Well, although I could have taken the sell here, again, it was still in my mind that we're not in the New York session, right? This is the London session, basically. I took the position a little bit before London session, around 1 a.m., right? So you're talking about like we're still hours before the New York session were to even open up. So this is one thing that I had in the back of my mind. And price action actually ended up coming all the way back down. Now, one thing I want you guys to keep in mind is look at this loss of momentum here. There's little momentum to the downside, which is kind of obvious. There's not a lot of volume in the NASDAQ when it's not in the New York session. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. But if we look at the candlesticks here, and we look at how these highs are printing on the hour time frame, we have lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. All of a sudden, we have price action break this previous lower high here, which has now printed a higher high, right? So now that is going to be a great entry signal. That is a high probability entry signal. That is an entry signal that I use every day. Obviously, also depends on the time frames as well. But this is a great entry signal. Now we have my trade that I planned actually start playing out, and we have my entry signal. Obviously, before I take the position, you have to understand the risks involved in the trade and if the trade is worth taking. But I want to lay it out to you guys in like the simplest method possible. What are the risks involved in this specific trade? Well, we're not in session, so price could just chop around this area until the New York session comes in, and I could potentially get stopped out on a liquidity grab, and then who knows, maybe get back into the market if the trade is still valid or not. And then on top of that, again, the biggest risk was we're trading out of session, right? So now if we look at the risk to reward, I was risking roughly $20,000 on this trade and I gained $60,000. So that's going to be a risk to reward about a 1 to 3. Meaning for every single $100 I'm risking, I'm looking to gain $300 in the market. So obviously I'm risking $20,000. So I was looking to gain roughly around 60 grand or so, which as you guys know, I made a $62,000 profit. Now, with that being said, I understood the risks involved. And again, like one thing I wanted to mention to you guys as well is, again, when we're trading from like a key level and price action is bouncing off of a key level, typically that's when I enter my position sizes and I enter a little bit of a heavier position size, right? So price action did end up actually giving us this higher high break, which you guys kind of look at this on the 5-minute time frame. We have a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and then price action ended up kind of reverting around and forming this higher high, higher low, and then we have a higher high, which this was my entry candlestick right here. Now, in terms of your stop loss, one thing you guys have to always keep in mind before you place a position is, where am I getting out if I'm right? Where am I getting out if I'm wrong? And do I have a positive risk to reward ratio here? Where am I getting out if I am right? Well, if I am right, I'm going to be getting out at the highs up here, because I don't know if price action is going to go higher than that, because there's been times where price action does, or I don't know if price action is going to find some form of selling pressure at this area and completely come back down to my entry, right? And do I want to still be in the position there, or how can I trail my stop loss and manage this trade? And where am I getting out if I'm wrong? Well, obviously, I want to get out if price action does break under this support. Where is price action breaking under this support? Roughly around this 13,893 area. Now, I still would have given buys a chance, as if price action would have bounced at 13,886. I would have definitely looked to continue to buy the NASDAQ, but, it just didn't happen. So I don't even have to worry about that. But that is also something that I did think about, where would I actually start looking to sell? I would have started looking to sell the NASDAQ if price action started to break under the lows over here at around 13,880. But other than that, I would obviously be looking to get out of the position if price action does break under the median of this kind of range that we have here. And then I already know where I'm getting out if I'm wrong. I already know where I'm getting out if I'm right. Now I have to verify that I have a positive risk to reward ratio, which, as you guys can see, is a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Again, I was risking $20,000, like $21,000 to gain $60,000, and the reality is I gained $62,000, which is fantastic. Now, one thing I want to discuss is, obviously, a lot of people I saw in my DMs were like, bro, if you would have held that, you could have made like 400 or 500K. And I'm like, well, although yes, that could have been the case, I'm still happy I stuck to my plan and I stuck to my rules, because if I dwell on the, if I would have held, I would have made 500K forever, then that's not productive. It's just going to be counterproductive for me, and I'm going to want to hold my trades forever. When you have to keep in mind, like, we were just previously trading inside of a crazy range, a lot of chop on the NASDAQ. So a lot of my trades had been short term. And this is a point in time where obviously I have to adjust to new market conditions. We're starting to see very trendy market conditions, and it took me a little bit late to adjust those market conditions. But again, I'm taking a position outside of the New York session. So what I thought was, price could tap into my take profit, come back down, and stop me out at break even. And you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to actually get taken out at my take profit and call it a day. And if my take profit hits, it's 62K. I don't even have to continue to trade. Like, there would be no point for me to continue to trade, right? That'll just be me being super greedy. And again, like, instead of asking myself and dwelling like, I can't believe that I didn't hold my trade, I could have made 500K. Well, although, like, yes, that was my first initial reaction. My other reaction was, okay, well, I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to see how I could possibly just switch it up in the future to be able to capitalize as much as I possibly can off of these positions. One thing that I could have potentially done here is had some form of a script involved where if my take profit did get hit, it just closed half of my position and moved my stop loss to break even, because again, like I was sleeping throughout the majority of this trade. I did wake up here and there and I was up, that I saw that at one point I was up like 15 grand, and then I was at break even, which was kind of like this initial move up, and then I was break even, and then I just kind of went back to sleep, and I woke up and price had hit my take profit, and that's fantastic. But that's pretty much the entire trade breakdown. I hope you guys really did enjoy this breakdown. Of course, for those of you guys that are interested in trading on the same brokerage that I'm trading on, I highly recommend trading with Hero. I have over 7 figures inside of this brokerage, and this is one of the brokerages that I trust the most that I've ever had this much money inside of a brokerage. And that's just because, again, the deposit times are super fast. The withdrawal times are super fast as well. You also have raw spreads. You have bonus accounts. So they have a lot to offer. Along with that being said, for those of you guys that want access to the free crash course, then make sure you guys check out the link in the description. And for those of you guys that want daily content, make sure you guys check out the free Telegram as well. And other than that, I will talk to you guys in the next video. I hope you guys did find value inside of this video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.